Are we live? We're live again?
Yeah, we are.
Well, not live technically, but we'll call it recording.
Recorded live at a studio
Table.
here. I don't know how these two stick with me through all my mess ups of this program.
We must be committed to our arts.
Yeah, or judging other people's art.
Well, more specifically that.
So I'm Blake. Hi.
Oh yes, deja vu. I'm Thomas.
And I'm still Andrew.
And yeah, I messed up the footage and the recording froze up. So we got through 20 through 17 of the current Billboard alternative list, and then it froze, and then I just deleted the footage. Impressive. So we're gonna each offer like a 1-sentence review of songs 20 through 11 on here, and then we'll actually talk more in depth about 1 through 10.
Yeah.
So
20.
Each person give a 1-second review. Or, sorry, 1-sentence review. That would be really hard. You start for Cringe by Maeson.
That landed spot 12 out of top 20, 20 being the worst. On my opinion, didn't hate it. It was interesting. Didn't like it all the way through.
Really obnoxious sentiment and a really bad ripoff of Human by Rag & Bone, except with way less charisma and way less texture, and there wasn't even that much to begin with. And really stupid references and some poor word choices.
Yeah. It did make me cringe a little.
Number 4 on my number 2 on my worst list, sorry.
A little generic. Also, didn't get the reference. Not sure why Michael Jackson was maybe called in there. Who knows? Bridge was alright. Better than the rest of the song, in my opinion. But, not one of my favorites. Kind of low on my list.
19 by Alligator. No, sorry. 19 Alligator by Of Monsters and Men.
I'll start. It was different from the Monsters and Men that I know. Some of their older stuff I really enjoyed. I enjoyed this too. It was different. It felt like they were branching out a little bit, and I enjoyed seeing that.
Needs to be longer and needs more than just 2 hooks and 2 verses, but I like this new direction, and give me more of those pounding drums and that blaring guitar in the post-chorus, please.
Ooh, yeah.
Number 3 on my best list.
It's top 5 for me. I liked it. Love hearing new music from this band. Interesting new direction they're taking, but we've said that already. A little more structure would be interesting. A little bit of clarity on why it's called Alligator, but we can't really expect that from them. They do their mysterious play well. Liked it. Want to see more.
Someone else say this because I don't have the band name written down as we said last time.
Number 18. I don't know how, but they found me. The song is Choke. Who starts? You talk, I talk.
You start.
I talk. Alright. Personally, I enjoyed the song a lot. It was actually number 3 on my top list. I thought it was stylish and kind of glamorous from the start. It had some nice, like, background vocal effects. Interesting lyrics. It had, I know he's gonna get into it, but it had a tonal dissonance that I thought was at least interesting, because it sounded happy and upbeat, especially the chorus was in kind of a major key, but the lyrics are pretty much all the way through just kind of mean. So it's like, oh, alright. Wouldn't know that by the sound, but if you listen to it, then yeah, kind of goes there. And I just thought it was interesting.
I have a horrible allergic reaction to this kind of passive-aggressive, mean-spirited sentiment. And this is not new wave, and I've heard this band do a lot better when listening to other stuff, so number 4 on my worst.
I misspoke earlier. I said Cringe from Maeson was my number 12. This is my number 12. Cringe was 16. Cringe, Choke, same thing.
Yeah.
It had some lyrics that I kind of liked and just wished that were not with the rest of it. I didn't hate the sound, but it just didn't really inspire me in any way, and I will agree, some of it was just kind of like, okay, but why do you need to say this? That's just mean and rude. Go say that to yourself in the shower or something.
Oh.
Make a song out of it.
Number
You
7.
sound like you're writing a response song.
Yeah. Number 17, Bad Liar by Imagine Dragons. Pain.
We got a lot of-
Program percussion, vocal overproduction. Number 5 on my worst.
This band does do a lot of pain and suffering in various musical degrees. I still like their work, but not nearly as much as their earlier work. Where did this land? I'm actually surprised. I put this as number 7 on mine because I liked parts of it, but the other parts just didn't really pick up anything more. And I think somebody said it was basically a copy of Demons that they did earlier.
Yeah.
I liked it better than some of their recent work, not as much as some of their early work. I thought that, especially at the beginning, the intro verse was pretty drony. It was almost monotone. Not really fun. The chorus had too much synth, in my opinion. The restrained synth in the verses was okay, in my opinion. When it gets to the chorus, it's just overblown a little bit. Still, it's an okay song, in my opinion. A bit generic. I like the band. Not as unique as some of their other songs. It's a little low on my list.
I know we don't review the music by the video. This one did have a fascinating video. I
It
liked
did.
the arts. I thought I was following the story, and then I wasn't. I also don't feel like it really fit with the song, but that's not important here.
Yeah. Number 16, Misconnection by The Head and the Heart.
Kind of folksy, and I kind of dig that. This one did it okay-ish. Could have been better, but where did I put that? I'll get back to you on that.
Sure.
I didn't hate it, but I mean, it's the standard, but Mumford and Sons does the folksy better.
Yeah, I like my Americana and folk music to have texture and warmth and to not have all that horrible beeping and really watery background vocals. If it were not for a pretty decent bass line and 5 seconds of really nice crackling piano before the first hook, this would have easily made the worst list, and I'm shocked it didn't.
I agree. I enjoyed the bass. I thought that was a good part of it. The outro to the chorus, if I remember correctly, was pretty good in my opinion. It was not one of my favorites as well. I was curious to see what it might sound like if it was a little bit faster.
You do make a good point there.
Maybe I'll try that out when I get home. But,
Some two
Where was
options.
this on yours?
This is 16. Yep.
Number 15, Change by the Revivalists.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. We didn't get into this one.
No,
before
we didn't.
So, I guess I'll go first because I already did. I liked this one a lot. I don't know all that much by the Revivalists at all, but I thought this one was interesting. I struggled to remember what thematically it's specifically about. I just remember that I liked the sort of bass jam to it and the something. I liked the way that they worked the lyrics. How they I can't think of the line. I'll get it in a second. This was my number 6 though.
I really wish I liked this more because we all really like "Wish I Knew You" here, and
Yeah,
nothing
the one,
I've
yeah.
ever heard from this band equals it. The album this is from, like the last single they did was called "All My Friends," and that song is terrible. This is one of the better songs I've heard from them. As you said, the bass line this thing's excellent. There's a lot of really old school swagger and soul to it that I like a lot. I really like the pre-chorus when the drums sort of pick up and there's this rapid fire plucking. However, it is an oddly colorless song. Like, it's just kind of bleak sounding to me. Like, I expected to pick up and the fidelity to change and it never does. Also, these horns sound horrible. With that said, there's a lot of good energy to it. I think it ends really well with the lead singer, whose name I probably should remember, really throws himself into it, and it's the most lively he's sounded since Wish I Knew You. And admittedly, I'm holding them to a high bar, but I've heard them make amazing, and this is just good. Number number 5 on my best list.
This was number 5 on my best list as well.
Fist bump.
Oh yeah. I enjoyed the song quite a lot. I thought the guitar was pretty strong. I agree with something that you said actually. I think it had some kind of like old school vibes to it. Like I made a note. It feels like it almost feels like a song from a couple decades ago with a modern like update on it,
Sheen.
which I thought worked in his favor. It was pretty interesting. I also enjoyed some of what was going on with the lyrics. It was, I don't know about a new message, but it was a nice spin on the kind of message about change and also maybe a little bit money. With some fun contradictions and like double play on the language. So well done in there.
Number 14, Maybe I'm Afraid by Lovely the Band.
Oof.
I can't believe I'm about to say this. This was number 2 on my best list. This
Really?
I hate this band. From their stupid name to Broken and These Are My Friends. And I still think he sounds ungodly flat in the verses. But there's one line in this thing that brings it all together for me. It's the bridge where he says, maybe all we are is fools with hearts that try too hard, and maybe that's fine as long as you're here in my arms. That really brought the whole song together for me. And I even really, like, he just pours his heart out in this song. And I even think that the very jagged transition from the verse to chorus works because it's just him pouring out his heart, that he's a he realizes it's okay to be vulnerable as long as I'm with you. And it's the first time I've heard any emotion from this guy at all. And I really appreciated that. And the sentiment of it definitely got better with time. So somehow this band number 2 on my best list. Good job.
I'll agree with some of that. I did not dislike some of the other ones I've heard from them earlier. Broken, the first time I heard it on the radio, I was actually like, hey, this is kind of cool and new. And now it's still played to death, and I hate it. But yeah, this was interesting. Where did this land? I do like, it's got, I guess, actually more emotion than I was expecting. Because, okay, after hearing Broken and one or two others from theirs played to absolute death, I was like, okay, at first I liked it, and I was like, hey, this is cool sentiments, and then it just kind of fell apart, and it was like, okay, now it just feels plastic and dumb. This one, I suppose maybe because of the way it does, like, kind of wind around to coming with an emotional, like, feel to it.
Yeah.
Felt a little more genuine and interesting. I think this is number 14 out of 20 for me, but I think it could have been higher. It was kind of a contender in the middle there. Personally, not a fan of this one. It was kind of low on my list. Which is a fun little inversion of what we usually do. Yes. Not terrible, but it threw me off. The transition from verse to chorus was too jagged for me, and then the chorus itself was just, I get what you're saying about genuine, and I'll give it another listen with that in mind, because maybe I didn't pay enough attention to that the first time, but just the sound of it was too
blaring.
Yes, it felt like kind of throwing itself against a wall.
This is not here because of the music, certainly.
I don't know if this is the proper terminology, but it felt like a little bit of a strange power ballad to me.
Yeah, I can see that.
I wouldn't argue, but I wasn't that interested in it. The bridge. The bridge was okay. I'll agree with that. Wait, did you say that?
What?
Did you say the bridge was good?
Yeah, I did. That's the whole reason it's here is because of the bridge.
Right. Getting confused already.
Alright, speaking of songs, sorry, you have anything else to say?
I was just gonna note, personally, I like Broken better because I haven't suffered play to death disease.
Similar to Broken, though, another song that's still here, somehow. This is Happier by Marshmello featuring Dan Smith. I'm sorry, Bastille. Cough, cough, Dan Smith.
Okay, yes. That's fair.
I put this as my worst. And it doesn't deserve that, but I've heard it non-stop, constantly, every station I turn on. And I'm just like, literally, please never turn this on for me again. I don't need any more. It's not terrible. I liked it the first 1 or 2 times I heard it. And then I just stopped being able to stomach it because it was like the whole, I don't know. Just anytime it comes on, all I can hear is, oh, we have it. And like, okay, I know, please stop. No, it's good. I like some of what Marshmello does. Bastille does some good stuff.
Absolutely.
Let me leave it as that before I say anything bad about it.
I think this was the second time I've heard the song, so I have a very different opinion.
Yeah.
I don't listen to a lot of radio, apparently. This was actually number 6 on my top list.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it. The Bastille part of it, I think, was a little bit stronger. Bastille, just in general, is solid, in my opinion.
They've released some excellent singles.
Yeah. I liked the, what was it? Oh, yeah. The message of it was, I liked the message of it, actually, yeah, a lot. It felt almost like an inversion of what a lot of other songs do. Instead of like, oh, I want you to stay with me forever. It's like, if I understand it correctly, like, I'll leave because it isn't working out, and I know that will make you happy. And I'm like,
there's actually another song later that has a very similar sentiment.
I think I remember. Yeah,
but I liked seeing that turn on it because it just felt, it felt a little bit more like nice,
mature.
Yes, and mature. In my opinion.
I'll give the song a lot of credit for trying to be more emotionally complex because for your average like summertime EDM jam, like most do not try for the level of emotion this is going for, and I give it props to that. But I've never heard anything from Marshmello that was like, I am listening to a Marshmello song. And to me, this song is just very stilted. There's a hilarious part in the bridge where I swear to God, you have violins, acoustic guitars, and electric guitar all playing the same melody. And it's for like 7 or 8 seconds, but every time it just throws me because it's like this song is trying so hard to have swell, but it's too stilted too. And if it were not for that, more, I like Dan Smith as a vocalist a lot. I do think that he brings a level of maturity and sort of wariness to this sentiment that makes it works when otherwise it could be like very martyrdom-ish in a way that would annoy me. But if it were not for that more emotionally complex direction, this easily would be in my bottom 5. It's like somewhere in my bottom 10 through 5 then.
I'll concede the EDM part, which I guess you could say is the Marshmello
the drop.
Yeah, that's pretty weak in my opinion. It's as far as EDM goes, it's very generic. I feel like I've heard better from Marshmello, but now that you mention it, I have to admit, I don't know if I can really identify a Marshmello song by sound.
Have you ever heard the song Friends by Marshmello and Anne-Marie?
Maybe.
Do not listen to it. It is just awful.
I'll keep that in mind.
At least this is not that.
The bridge was kind of weak in my opinion, which bridges are important to me, so that lost a few points, but still good in my opinion.
Let me revise my opinion on it slightly. I did genuinely like it mostly the first time I heard it. I'm a fan of EDM, and I never really liked the Marshmello-ing part of this song. I don't know. You put it well. It's just extraordinarily generic and doesn't do anything. But I did like I suppose when you get down to it, the basic message, which is like, this is not the first time I've heard this. However, it's better than most things, which are just like, no, stay with me. And instead it's like, no, I'll go if that makes you happier. So I'm like, okay, I'm down with that. Please don't ever play it for me again.
It wasn't selfish, which is refreshing.
Number 12, we have Beloved by Mumford and Sons. Okay, this band gets a lot of crap from, especially on their first 2 albums, with stuff like Little Lion Man, Alway, where they, were very anthemic, very, forward and very sort of one-dimensional, and that they were just kind of in your face. Then on their last 2 albums, they've gotten a lot of heat for being very, what's the term I'm looking for? Very malaise-inducing, very dry, very heavenly, but kind of just flat and not a lot of momentum to it. So why is it the song where they decide to have this weird tropical Arabian groove to it is a song that's an ode to his dying grandmother that just doesn't fit for me.
That's what it was.
And it's bothered me the entire time. Like, I don't think the sentiment of this song is bad, and I do think Marcus Mumford, the lead guy, is singing his heart out, but the music does not match at all to me. And I was like, the one time this band decides to again have groove and build is for this really morose song. Like, what? Sorry, I ranted there a bit.
No, you're good. I don't think I made all the connections there with about it, or I don't know that I fully understood what it was about. But
yeah, it's about his grandmother dying, I believe.
Interesting.
I will say there was one really good line in the final line of the first verse where he says, "She says the Lord has a plan, but admits it's pretty hard to understand." This band has written some bad stuff about religion before. They can be a little preachy. That line's pretty good.
Yeah.
Any thoughts?
I like
Go.
I like Mumford and Sons a lot. Probably more so the earlier stuff I heard, but that's partly just because I don't have very strong memories of some of the stuff in the middle. I did not realize that that's what this song was about, but I also I hadn't fully pieced together what it was about. I only heard it a couple times, and I listened to it again before we did this for a refresher. So it actually landed number 4 on my list, which is probably skewed because of the recency. A little bit. I didn't think it was bad. I don't
think it's bad either.
The sound of it, and I did like some of the lyrics, like what you said. The
Lord has a plan, but it's pretty hard to understand.
Yeah, I did think a lot of it was interesting. I don't really know how to compare it to some of their other stuff because it is definitely different, less like coming straight at you with the band and all that. But
kinetic.
Yeah, I like it. I just don't know how to classify it exactly.
I'll agree. It was a little bit different than some of their other work. I still felt like I could identify it as Mumford and Sons.
I mean, it's pretty hard to miss his voice.
But it was different enough that it was kind of nice. Didn't necessarily stand out all that much to me, but I will say
a lot of their recent stuff doesn't.
I enjoyed the bridge, how we got into more of the string, which is maybe a little bit of a callback to their earlier work, just like the heavy strings between a few different instruments. Got into higher pitch and kind of higher energy, and then that carried over into the final chorus, and I enjoyed seeing that. I thought that was a nice touch.
For me, there's just such a disconnect between what he's saying and the weird, more happier vibe to it. But at the same time, like, if it did have that sort of morose instrumentation, I'd be sitting here and saying it's boring. So really, this song could probably not win with me, honestly, because this band's last 2 albums just go one in one ear and out the other. I'll remember this song on, like, so much of their last 2 albums, which just are so forgettable and so homogenous for me. Not bad. Number 11, Still Feel by Half Alive. This band has 5 songs on Spotify, by the way. It was pretty funny to see.
This was number 2 on my top list. Yeah. I enjoyed a lot of it. I think it was especially in the first verse. There was an interesting sort of what I call the near and a far voice, where it was like the singer directly, and then same singer but with vocal filtering, and I don't know if it was a direct response, but it was sort of like a call and response that I thought was cool. It felt like it had elements of disco a little bit too.
Definitely.
Which I thought was really fun. A good tempo with that. When it got to the chorus, it set on with like heavy electronic tones that I didn't see coming, but I thought it worked. It was impactful, and again, I thought it was pretty interesting. I would definitely listen to more of this if they have more work like this. I'd check them out.
Here's the weird thing about that. This band has 5 songs. 3 of them came before this. 1 of them came after. The 3 that came before this, I forget what the EP is called. They all sound like Wannabe 21 Pilots to an embarrassing degree. This was then they did a song after this called Arrow, which is much more like this song.
Okay.
Which is definitely a good thing, because this is a song I really like that I wish I loved. Because I really dig the groove. There are these great sort of quivering, sustained synthesizers that play around the groove a lot. This dude has just endless like confidence and poise to his delivery that I loved, but I do not like the hook of this thing. Not necessarily in principle, I don't like that they bring in that very heavy sub bass. I just don't like the tempo shift where it slows down, and then the song goes on too long. Like after all right, get into the bridge, and then they throw in these horns that sound terrible, and the song goes on for like 30 to 40 seconds too long. We're like, ugh. Again, the groove is fantastic. This dude's performance is excellent. He just has endless, just infectious confidence and poise to him. But it just doesn't. This would easily be my number 2 if it were not for, or even maybe number 1 if it just were not for that hook. And the fact it just goes on too long for me.
All right. Actually, I'll agree with most of what you just said there. I have this number 10 on my list, so I think I'd revise that a little higher. It does have just a lot of interesting sound to it, but I would pretty much reiterate what you said. The slowing down, of the parts of what was the
tempo shift.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Is it puts some interesting change in it, but I kind of feel like maybe in this case, interesting not the best way.
Mm-hmm. I do really dig a lot of it, and I hope to see. I'm glad that the song after this is also more like this, because this band has a knack for groove that they should keep on, definitely. Also, the video is pretty awesome, too.
That's good to hear. Like I was saying, I'd be interested to hear more of this. Yeah, maybe I'll skip their earlier song.
Yeah, to skip the first EP they did.
Also, sorry. One fun little intertextual note here. The very beginning of the song starts out with a couple drum beats in a row. The drum itself and the beat arrangement reminds me, or when I first heard it, it gave me a full callback to Lake Zurich by Gorillaz, which, as has been established, I'm a huge
Funny
Gorillaz
enough,
fan.
this is not the only song on this list that reminds me of Gorillaz. Not in a good way, though. That's not a dig at Gorillaz. We'll get to it later. So we breezed through those. So we can talk more about this, which is a good thing that we can talk more about this song. Number 10, this is Bad Days by AJR. You guys can tolerate AJR more than me. What do you think of this?
So, I would say I'm a fan of AJR because I've heard a lot of their songs that I think are okay, and I've heard a few of their songs that I think are great. I really love Come Hang Out, and I really love Pretender with Steve Aoki and Lil Yachty. This one, not one of my favorites. I wouldn't say it's terrible, but among their work, it ranks kind of low. I like, it still has elements of their what characterizes them that are which is sort of mixing big band with electronic and a little bit of experimental, which I just think is interesting. So that's nice. This song is, it feels blatant and forced. It feels like it comes at you with its message too hard. In terms of the writing, this has elements of or there are some other songs that they do that are similar to this, but I think that this one really kind of epitomized it, where they do a lot of specific writing in their lyrics. They'll call really specific examples of things that are probably experiences that this speaker or this the singer
actually
has
have.
had.
Yeah, the opening lines where he's talking about breaking his thumbs. Yeah. Apparently, I looked at Genius, and apparently it's something that actually happened to him.
So specific writing is good because it gets into clear images and a lot of times things that people can relate to.
This guy's what major are you?
Yeah, I'm
sorry.
a writing major,
Okay,
so
I thought that's what it was, but I didn't want to insult you.
Oddly enough, I don't always pay that close attention to lyrics and songs, but when I do, I do. But yeah, with this, I think it gets a little too specific, actually. It's...
No, okay. This is gonna sound like bear with me, this is gonna be a weird comparison. You guys remember Hey Soul Sister by Train, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Whoa.
you know the opening line of that song is, your lipstick stains on the front lobe of my left side brain.
Hard to forget.
Yeah.
Okay, we understand what that means because
Yes.
it's based on a familiar sort of cliche, which is, I've got your kisses on the brain. But they make it so specific that you're like, now it's just gross. Like,
Yeah,
why
now-
did you? And
You
this song,
made it medical.
this song has a similar problem when the hook comes in and it goes, 100 bad days made 100 good stories. Okay,
Yeah.
kind of crudely saying it's not
Yeah.
remotely catchy, it doesn't flow very well. But I get what it's trying to say.
Yeah.
It's like throw dirt on me and grow wildflower. Okay, I get that. Then the next line comes in. What's that next line, Andy?
What is that next line?
100 good stories made me interesting at parties.
Okay.
That's what
Okay.
all this is about, is making you interesting at parties? That's all you care about?
Yeah, I agree with you very strongly on this. The first half of that is, like you
Could
said,
work.
blatant, but it's a message I like because it's something that I feel like I'm trying to learn right now. Like,
Uh-huh.
yeah, sometimes like bad experiences or like being uncomfortable with stuff, just like whatever happens in life,
You get something out of it. at
yeah, you can
least.
grow from it, and that's good. Then the line after that, once again, makes
and
it
in
too
the-
specific,
and in-
also kind of like devalues.
And that's
any
my
message.
that's my problem with AJR as a whole, and this is a repeated problem
yeah.
with them, is that they're a band that tries to be very loud, anthemic, and talk about big things, and then they'll undercut it with their writing, like in Burn the House Down, where it's like, I'm leading a revolution, and then I'm not really leading a revolution, that's just hordes of people on Twitter, and it just undercuts it. Same here, where it's like, you want to have this angelic swell about how you overcame your bad days by turning them into stories, but you did that because it made you interesting at parties. Like, who cares?
That's actually interesting.
I'm sorry, Tommy. You want to say
I'm sorry.
something?
No, no.
Sure.
You guys, I'll get to that.
But that's interesting. I'm starting to realize that the writing with AJR is actually very, in my opinion, or for me, it's all over the place. Like sometimes I really like it. I think it hits their message really well, and sometimes I think it just kind of like totally misses what they're going for. I guess to bring it up again, the song that I think, or one of their songs that I think is maybe strongest with that is "Come Hang Out," which still is maybe suffers a little bit from it, where it kind of like reduces it down to this one specific thing. The song, as I understand it, is kind of a conflict between like putting in the hard work to get where you want to be and spending time with your friends.
Yeah.
Because both are important, but you can't always have both of them. Especially in the bridge of that song, it gets into a little bit of like, oh, is this actually about like being popular on social media?
Yeah, and that's always what creeps into their music.
Yeah.
And on Genius, there'll be interviews, and one of the things they said is, but what is true is that what doesn't kill you always makes you more interesting to everybody else. I'm like, this shouldn't be about you being interesting to everybody who. That's really, and that's their mentality. Like, that's their headspace that they envision things through, and that's just not what I agree with. Tommy, do you want to say something? We've been ranting for too long.
I am trying to decide how much I agree with you. So this landed a number 11 spot for me.
This is
Liked
number
it.
one on my worst.
Okay.
Um,
I'll give you that.
I haven't heard a ton of AJR. I've liked most of what I have. I remember they do Sober Up, right?
Yeah, they do. The
Yeah.
Rivers Cuomo collab.
Now, yeah, I actually did like that one a lot, but that's just me. I like some of their other stuff, like I said. This was not bad. So, like, I half agree with what you guys said about the lyrics, like how it gets really specific and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know too much about like them referencing social media or whatever. That probably went over my head, but the specific examples, like in one case, it is kind of like, okay, well, I wasn't expecting that, and now my immersion is totally thrown, and I don't know what's going on with the song anymore. But in another sense, some of it does come off in a way where it's basically, instead of just like saying like this or that, it actually, like, if you can follow with it, then it's like, oh, that's powerful imagery. Now I am actually experiencing what you just said. So it's like, okay, well, they do, I don't know if it'd be emotional, but at least like in terms of
Imagery.
listening experience. Yeah, and imagery.
Immersion.
They do
Yeah.
sort of pack a powerful punch there, and that can go two ways. I think a lot of the times it kind of works for me, but sometimes it is just kind of like, well, that just got a little weird, didn't it? The whole 100 bad days makes 100 different
Good stories,
Yeah,
yeah.
that one. 100 good stories makes me interesting at parties. Like, okay, like you said, the first part of that is like, oh, okay, sure. It's not like, oh,
It's salvageable.
yeah, it's like 100 bad days doesn't make my life suck. I grew and became an interesting person from that. The whole makes me interesting at parties. Like, I feel like that's a specific set of words that maybe is supposed to mean something more general instead of the other way around sometimes. I don't know exactly how to identify it though. Is the
See,
thing.
even with all that all the sort of not confusion, I shouldn't say that. Even with all your back and forth
Indeterminacy.
indeterminacy, to me this song musically still sucks.
Yeah.
Because
Okay, yeah.
even when it tries to go for those, angelic swells in the post-chorus, in the pre-chorus, then what happens? Bam! Horrible pitch-shifted monstrosity blaring at you. I'm like, you lost me. You threw away any slight build that you had before that wasn't even that good to begin with. And then we get to the bridge where we get chipmunk vocals, which we all love
Oh, I forgot that
those.
was even in there.
And we get these horrible, like, chipmunk vocals and horrible spritzy horns that sound just as bad as they did on Burn the House Down. This band has only made 3 albums, but they've been around for 13 years.
Wait,
Really?
seriously?
Yes. How can you not
Oh.
get better production than this? How can you not get better effects? And how do you still sing with no charisma at all? I don't get it.
I thought
Clearly-
they were more recent than
Yeah,
They've
but-
only released 3 albums.
Yeah, I haven't done
Well,
any
'cause they're-
research.
Yeah.
But they felt like a very recent upstart band, like
Yeah.
Lovely the Band or whatever.
Lovely
I
the
mean,
Band,
not
yeah.
exactly the same, but
Huh.
I don't know. That's an
Yeah,
interesting
this-
perspective shift.
This song really is a bit of a patchwork, isn't it? It kind
Uh-huh.
of feels like it was pieces taken from other
Yeah.
parts put together.
I liked a couple parts, but yeah, the entire package.
I will say the angelic sort of choir that comes in the build up is one of the first times I've ever been like sort of into one of how a song of theirs sounds, and then it just gets tossed out the window and that pitch shifting comes in. I'm like, you had me for like 12 seconds, then you just pissed it away. Good job, AJR.
This is interesting. This is helping me work out some of my AJR problems. I think I'm coming to realize that I like the band, but sometimes I think they're a little too millennial for me.
That's actually fantastically put.
This is like cognitive dissonance now because I'm a millennial.
You're actually not.
I'm what?
No, it's 1980 to 1995 is millennial.
Okay, the things I've read around have lied to me. apparently.
Unless we might, but that was my impression. And like you're younger than me, so.
I
Alright.
avoid the term because there's too much debate on what it actually means.
Okay, sorry. Keep going with what you were saying. That was a really good point. That we just totally just derailed it.
Wow, revelations all over. Whatever generation it is, I think that that AJR is a little too. They're like the vapid side of it, whereas
Yeah.
I'm more of the sad, deep, long suffering side. You know?
Okay, is anyone that we've
I mean,
talked
you're
about
right,
this song
but-
for way too long? Does anyone
Yeah,
else
we
have any
have.
thoughts on it?
Maybe I'm.
Because I
just
actually want to
old.
talk about this next one a lot.
All right, all right.
Number 9. This is "Ready to Let Go" by Cage the
Ooh.
Elephant.
All right, this landed number 2 for me.
Nice.
I like a lot of Cage the Elephant. I need to listen to more of them, and I don't know why I haven't. This one, I don't know. I liked pretty much everything about it. It's got a nice groovy sort of bass to it. I like a lot of the instrumentation, and I like the lyrics and the whole. I'm bad with the parts of the song, but the whole where it's "I'm ready to let
Chorus.
go." Okay, yeah.
The end.
The
The
main-
end of the chorus.
Yeah, the end of the chorus, I feel like kind of like drives the whole feeling
Yeah.
home, and I think they just did the whole thing really well. Yeah, I liked it.
I think it has. I think it's strong throughout. It has strong, good guitar and drum. The tempo is good and consistent. I feel like it moves forward with a lot of confidence, not in like a glib sort of way, more like this is
There's a
Yeah.
brashness to the song.
It's like it knows exactly what it's talking about, and like I kind of like the message as well. It was sort of
I
like,
love
wow,
the message.
yeah, this person is like really, really done. This is a little bit fatalist. Wow, I relate to this. I'm ready to let go.
I wish I really liked this more.
Oh, yeah.
It's for personal reasons. So when this band started out, they started out as a very straightforward garage rock band, and I like some of their earliest, like "Back Against the Wall" is a great song. And then they started moving in a more like psychedelic direction on songs like "Trouble" or what's the other big one they did? "Come a Little Closer," which I wasn't really for. So I start hearing this song that came out and got really big, and it's fallen down a bit since then. But I'm like, okay, it's kind of like they're going back to their garage rock roots. And then I listened to it too many times and realized, wait a minute, this sounds like the Black Keys, and I hate the Black Keys. Like it just, it just has this very like the groove to me is too choppy. There's these really like chintzy guitar fragments to it, and so musically I'm like there's a lot of good smolder to the song, but just the tone and the tempo of it for me, or not even the tempo of it, just the sound of the guitar never fit for me, which is a shame because I really like the sentiment of the song about the lead singer. I actually wrote this down because I wanted to. Matt Schultz, I believe is the guy's name, about him taking a trip to Pompeii with his wife, and then being there and sort of being stuck in this historical place. And he uses all these references in the song to talk about, I just realized I was done. Like, this relationship can't work, and I decided rather than wait for it to be ugly, I'm going to light a match to it and end it now, and I'm going to stop it right here maturely before we hate each other. I'm like, that's a good mature sentiment for a song that really worked for me. There's one line that kind of bugged me that I just thought was funny. This is just a funny thing. In the second verse where he says, I was blue, your dress was red, ain't it strange? It's not really strange to me. Anyways, besides that, I really, really like the lyrics of this song. I really like the hook. I like the sort of the very dramatic piano notes that bring in the hook. I like that there's a lot of force to the song. It's just personally because of my biases and the fact I hate the Black Keys, I cannot like this music. So it ultimately barely misses my top 5, which is a shame because I really dig the sentiment behind it a lot.
Now let me ask you this.
We'll get to the other the actual Black Keys song on here.
If the Black Keys had never existed, would you like this song better?
Probably more, but I probably would still find some of the guitar work kind of chintzy. But
That's fair.
That is a totally fair observation. And it's because I just hear Howling for You or Go on the Ceiling, where I'm like, oh, I don't like those songs.
When you bring it up, I can feel a relation as well. There are similarities.
But yeah, listen to more Cage the Elephant. They have good stuff you should listen to. Any more thoughts on this song? I do want to like this song. I do.
This is number 4 on my top list.
Yeah, this would be like probably 6 or so. Number 8, familiar face to everybody.
Oh yeah.
Chlorine by 21 Pilots.
You guys go first. Should I start?
Sure.
I can go first. You go first. It was okay overall. It was
just okay.
Yeah, that's kind of my overall opinion. It was characteristically 21 Pilots. Like, they've got the sound that's usually easy to edit.
This song especially sounds like Heathens a lot to me.
Yeah, which I liked Heathens more than this, I have to admit. I think that the song was a bit slower than some of the ones that I like more from them. The lyrics were like kind of redundant sometimes. I couldn't really figure out what the overall message was supposed to be about.
I have no idea. This song opens their new album, so that's probably a big part of it. I believe it opens it. I could be totally wrong. I'm sorry. But look, the worst 21 Pilots songs are the ones where I'm supposed to care about this dude. Because even the songs from this band I like, I've just never found this dude to have any charisma. I've never been able to get into any of their lyrics. They just write lyrics in a way to me that's just too simple, and because the dude doesn't have a lot of charisma or stage presence, I don't want to dig into it to find out more. And I do, overall, the song does have a lot of nice, smoky ambiance to it. I dig the descending and ascending piano, or it might be like a xylophone in there. But this song is so long. It's over 5 minutes, and the last minute or so of it is him going into like his lower register and trying to sound really like booming and imposing, and it's just laughable. So you really liked this.
Yeah, that's why I had you guys go first. This was my number 1.
Yeah.
Okay, so like, since it was just mentioned, I'm gonna agree with you. The last like minute or minute and a half gets kind of little weird,
Tedious.
but like, because I mostly heard it on the radio where it cuts out that whole
there's
part
probably a radio edit that's a lot shorter.
And so the first time I heard it, I was like, "The hell is this? I like it." I don't know.
Have you heard much other 21 Pilots?
That's the thing. I've only heard a handful of their other works, and I truthfully forget most of what I have heard, or the specific songs.
I do recommend checking out more.
Yeah, I do intend to actually check out more of their work. So it's hard for me to say how this compares exactly. I think I know there's like 1 or 2 of theirs that I was just turned off by. I didn't really care much for. And I remember liking this a lot more. Now this, I don't know, it's kind of just an interesting phenomenon. I never paid super close attention to the lyrics, and I kind of want to do that next time I listen to it. And it's interesting. Like the first 1 or 2 times I heard it, I thought it was about a relationship, but when I listened to it just recently, I was like, maybe this actually is literally just about drugs. I'm not really sure anymore.
I mean, it's always possible.
It's one way or another.
You never know.
I still find it interesting. I guess, I don't know. I like a lot of things. So I like the music a lot, and the instrumentation. It's just got some interesting sounds that could be really weird, but I feel like they brought together into a really interesting sort of combination. I liked a lot of the lyrics, and I appreciated their commitment to the sort of chemical motif for them, because they mentioned chlorine, lead, a couple other things.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, haha, well played, guys. And I just kind of like some of the ways that they worked in the vocals. Like, I guess it would be, again, I'm bad with the song parts, but I think it would be considered the bridge.
The part after the second hook is the bridge.
Yeah, so where it's I'm running for my life, but how they sort of extend that and make it almost like melismatic sort of thing. They do like up and down with the voice. It was like, I was like, whoa, that's really cool. And then it pauses and then goes like back into the sort of groove, the sipping on straight chlorine. Like, wow, that's really cool. So I don't know.
I was just bored, and even there's 21 Pilots songs I like. It's not because of him or because of the lyrics. Like, I love Jumpsuit. It's not because I care about the symbolic importance of a jumpsuit.
Okay. For frame of reference, because I have bad memory, did they do Stressed Out?
They do Stressed Out. Okay. Yeah.
I didn't hate that one. I like this one better. I know that's probably going to be controversial.
Yeah, me too. I hope that's not controversial.
Non-controversial.
Stressed Out is so boring. At least this song is musically interesting.
The first time I heard it, I was like, this is a thing. And then after that, I was like,
I'm still really shocked to this day that Stressed Out was their song that got big.
Yeah, because they don't know why.
Because they did Tearing My Heart, which I don't like at all, but that to me seemed like the most obvious pop crossover. Yeah. And then that doesn't really get big. And then Stressed Out is the one of all things. Like,
Stressed Out was kind of a little, I don't want to call it boring, but boring.
No, it's boring. I'm going to call it boring.
A little weird. And it's not on the list. We don't need to talk about it, but I take issue with the thing where it's like, used to sing us to sleep or whatever when I was stressed out. And it was like, wait. When did you know what stress even was as a small child? But anyway, that's
fair.
Not an issue for me.
He really likes it. I like the music. It goes on.
For me, I hold 21 Pilots to kind of a high standard because I like a lot of their songs. This one wasn't as great for me, so it's it's kind of high on my list, but it could be higher. I like a lot of things in it. I like the bridge and some of the tempo variations. I like the part where it gets kind of faster. It's kind of rap-ish before the second chorus.
No, it is.
Like that. That's another thing that they do in others of their songs that I enjoy. It's kind of interesting. I do like them in part for some of their lyrics and some of their delivery. It's like non-charismatic, but in a sort
there's
of
just something about his specific vocal timbre that that triggers nothing in me. I don't know what it is.
I will say that I'm surprised that I like them. For some of their instances, I like them, but it just kind of works for me.
Hey, they do have like a million brony points from me for making Jumpsuit. That's the wrong term. Erase that.
Brownie.
Credit. What's the term I'm looking for?
Brownie.
Is that it? Maybe. Yes, Bitcoin.
Close.
All right. Up.
Bitcoin.
Up next, Gloria by the Lumineers. So I am an unemotional cold husk of a person, except when I'm angry. That's the only emotion I can show.
And we love you for it.
So this band has a song called Cleopatra that I love and almost brings me to tears every time. So I realize it's unfair to hold them that I expect every song of theirs to be like Cleopatra, but I was like, why is this not working for me the same way that Cleopatra does? To me, it's a song about his, I assume it's his mother, I could be wrong, but a familial member's alcoholism. And to me, it just is too chipper for that subject matter. And it starts off immediately with like vocal overdubs and background vocals. I'm like, no. It's okay to bring those in later, but for a sentiment like this that is so dark, I really want to be more intimate. And to me, that requires a more kind of raw vocal track that gets ruined when you throw those in immediately. And Cleopatra, it throws those in eventually, but it starts off with a very clear vocal track that doesn't have a lot of background vocals or a lot of layers to it. And so you get that sense of intimacy from this that's really required for a subject like this that, to me, and then you get this very like danceable piano playing that I think is supposed to add like a sense of anxiety to it, but was just too pleasant sounding for me. So I don't dislike it because it's rare to hear a song like this that actually has like warmth and sincerity and is easily the most organic song on this list, especially compared to whatever the hell Head and the Heart are doing. But I know, again, I realize it's unfair, but I've heard this band break my heart every time with Cleopatra, and this just isn't doing it for very simple reasons that they just kind of mess up for me.
The fact that this was a little bit faster, like at a bit of a higher tempo than some of the other songs I know by them, kind of worked for me. I enjoyed that. I will say that I enjoyed that irrespective of the message, because I did not know that it was about.
Yeah, that's what it's about.
So that's interesting, I guess. Lyrics were all right. It was okay overall. It's strange for me. It feels like every time I hear a Lumineers song, I feel like I should like it because they've got all, like, they do a lot of parts well that I like, that, like, individually I think, like, oh, these are good. Like, the lyrics, the music, all that stuff. But somehow it just doesn't usually come together for me. Like,
they're also not exactly the most original band out there.
But, like, I'll enjoy it, but none of the songs have really hit me as, like, oh, I love this song. It's just kind of like, oh, it's Lumineers, I guess. So maybe I ought to listen to Cleopatra again. That might work.
Yeah, I'd agree with most of that. I do need to listen to Cleopatra again. It's been a while. I know it's good, and I just can't remember it as well as I'd like to. The other one that's easy to go to is just Ophelia.
Yeah. Which obviously does not have as grim a subject matter as this does, so it's like the bounciness there works.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't know, I like this okay, but it didn't really stand out at all for me with them. It was a little bit faster, which was kind of interesting, and I debate whether that really works in its favor. I think I put this number 15 or so. I like I think I'm kind of sort of what you said. How I like a lot of the aspects of that they have, and it feels like
individual parts.
Yeah, I should like what they make because I like so much of what they do, and it just doesn't really fit all together the way I want it to.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Don't really know what would. I don't know. I don't really know what they could change to make it better for me.
Mhm.
But I don't know. It's hard to say.
So, number 6 on here. It's been a while since we've had a song I really didn't like. Hurt by Oliver Tree, I believe is his name. So, you know, I talked about how with other songs I tried to listen to other stuff by them. This was a mistake because this dude makes some of the most unlistenable underground hip hop. He normally
Really?
makes like rap music. This is his first like real straightforward like pop song.
I would
And
not have
we
predicted
mentioned it earlier, but to me he sounds like if Gorillaz huffed paint for 6 hours and lost any of their sense of groove. Because the song he did after this is called Fuck. And it's him being like, I'm a badass. Fuck you. I'm like, dude, do you see what your outfit looks like?
That means
Look
you're
at the
not
way
badass.
you sing. Are you serious? Like, you're not menacing. Get this out of here. And this song is just, it's like, take Rivers Cuomo, remove any of his, like, catchiness or ability to construct a good hook, and just, like, crank up the whininess to maximum. Oh my god. Number 3 on my worst list.
Yeah, I think that this would be pretty low on my list. I'll say there was a little bit of electronic-ness going on in the music, and I kind of like that. I'm a sucker for it, I admit. That was all right. Lyrics were not great in my opinion, or at least the singing.
Do you know
A
what
lot
this
of it-
song is about, by the way?
Uh,
It's about him having an accident on his scooter at age 6.
oh,
Really?
The music, the music.
You're not BSing me.
No,
are you?
I'm not. The music
Oh,
video has a scene of
no.
him like in like a crucifixion pose on a giant scooter.
at 6.
No.
Okay.
Good one.
The lyrics were strange. It was drone-y. in my
Yeah,
opinion.
it is.
It droned a lot. I wrote down. I don't know if this is accurate, but I wrote down shoegaze.
I'm sorry.
I'm not sure.
Shoegaze is a genre of music.
Yeah.
Um,
Don't-
in that
don't
it's
listen.
just very insular and doesn't have a lot of momentum to it. Sure, I'm the wrong person to ask on this. I don't really like
Honestly, same.
shoegaze.
Um,
You say something.
I guess just to conclude, I think I liked the verses better than the chorus. The chorus was more boring in my opinion. It was kind of short, which I think
It's like
worked in
2
its favor.
minutes and 20 seconds. It's like the shortest here.
For both good and bad. I think being shorter worked in his favor.
So, 1 second. Yeah, like, okay. I'm gonna take a moment and disregard the whole scooter thing because that's very hard for me to comprehend.
Let us not have a moment without scooters.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I put this as my number 9. Now, I don't know if it would still disregarding the scooter thing because that's going to make some changes. But, like, I don't even know if I believe that, but I also wouldn't
That's
be
what he
surprised
says it's
if-
about. I'm sure he's just BSing because, you know, that's what he does, but...
yeah, I
I could believe it.
it.
I could believe that.
Yeah, the thing is, I can believe it, which is the problem.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is more, I don't know the words for, I don't know if you'd call it like grungy or like,
yeah. It tries to throw in those really grungy, very chunky guitars in the pre-chorus.
So like, okay, it has a sound and a sentiment and all that I feel like I would very immediately dislike to hate sort of thing, or dislike going to hate.
Dislike
That's
slash
not a double
hate.
negative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of grunge.
Yeah, I don't know. Just it just feels like it's yelling at someone. I don't know. But somehow it kind of grew on me. I guess just no. It does have a very strong feeling of like, I'm done. This was pointless. like, that sort of thing, and a very almost like a whole bitter, like the whole I'm sorry if I hurt you, I'm sorry if it got that bad, I'm sorry I can't help you, somebody should have had your back, sort of, I don't know, a sort of like bitter and I don't know if ironic is the right word, but how it's saying like,
I mean, have you seen his outfit? This man lives and
fair.
breathes irony, and that's probably why I'm not
because
a fan.
it has a strong feeling of like I'm sorry, but it's actually your fault, sort of thing. I don't know. That's kind
a good
of
way of
how it feels to me. And I feel like normally I would super hate that, and even the sound of it. And somehow this still didn't entirely push me away.
It's similar to what you guys said with the Lumineers. Like, there are parts of it where I could see myself getting into it. Yeah. Like what you mentioned, like, I kind of like the droning, looping, like electronica in the verses. And I kind of dig the really chunky guitars that come in, but they don't connect in any way, and the entire thing is just flat, and it's just so wonky, and it's just not catchy at all. Like, there's too many words, and there's no flow to it.
Yeah.
I'm really...
Too many words.
I guess it's just for sheer weirdness. I was really shocked that this song had gotten up to number 6. I was like, what is the appeal of this? Like, it's not... Like, I get why Stressed Out became a hit. Like, why this? I don't get it.
I'll agree. I think that's partly why I semi like it, or I like parts of it. It does come together in kind of a weird sort of disjoint.
I will say it's better than that other song I mentioned. I would take this over fuck any day.
No, yeah.
At least he's not rapping on this song.
Okay, to address the scooter thing, which I'm still may or may not
We need
actually...
to get through this. We have 5 songs left. We've been here for an hour.
I'm gonna just say, like, the very obvious, immediate interpretation is, of course, I don't know if you'd even call it a relationship, but like, people not working together anymore if they ever did, sort of thing. I mean, that's where the lyrics seem like. I'm amazed that I could believe if it was the 6-year-old mad at his scooter. Weird. Anyway, let's move on.
Okay, a song... Sorry, you have any final thoughts?
I guess I was just going to say, the way you talk about the lyrics makes it kind of more interesting to me. Like, I'm a little bit more okay with that.
Yeah.
Still...
It has kind of a sort of heavy pettiness to it, but it's still
not helped by his delivery.
Oh, not at all. But it's I guess it's interesting to see that in action, because it's kind of like, this is a train wreck, but it's, you can't look away from that.
The idea of it, at least, is a little bit fun.
All right.
Not listening to it.
A song that's still here. This is High Hopes by Panic at the Disco. I'm sorry, Brendan Urie. I'm sorry, Panic at the Disco. This is still here.
This is
still here.
Definitely Panic at the Disco.
God.
Is it though? Well, okay, yes, but we'll get into that.
I like a lot of Panic at the Disco. I think they have done some very good songs. This one is a little generic for me among their work, and I didn't find it that unique. It was still like fun in that it has like a high tempo, a lot of energy, like an okay message.
Message of I'm awesome.
Yeah, but see, that was the other side. Like, the message is appreciable of like, oh, had to like work hard and things didn't always go well, but now you're here. But the flip side is everyone else who has worked hard and not always had things go right, and they're not there. So it's like, it's easy to say, oh, I had to have high hopes now that I'm famous.
Yeah, I was never a Panic. I always preferred Fall Out Boy. But Brendan Urie's got endless charisma and stage presence, and that saves this song from being just an absolute train wreck. 'Cause to me, this song is just noise and noise. It's so loud and in your face with no real groove or low end to it. It's just blares at you. Like, the only part I really like outside, obviously, like in terms of the song itself, is the pre-chorus, because it's a nice respite from the rest of it and adds sort of that whimsical musical theater flavor that he so desperately craves in his music now. But at least it's got energy. At least it's not dull. At least it's got color. But it's also just really one note, which makes it especially exhausting given how overplayed it's been, and the fact it's still here after like months and months.
Feels like years.
Yeah, basically.
This was my number 19.
Yeah, I figured it was going to be.
Similar reasons, and again, it's half unjustified, but for Happier by Marshmello Bastille. Because it's just, I would be totally satisfied if I never heard the song again. Because still cannot escape it anywhere. I like at least a good deal of Panic at the Disco. This was never among my favorites from him. Like, okay, there are some obvious ones you can name, but for example, This Is Gospel I feel like that one's interesting, and I don't know if fun exactly is the right word for it, but like or deep or other things, but somehow it makes you feel something. Whereas this, I guess the word I would use for it is manufactured, which is weird to describe it, but it kind of feels just like something that was, I hate to say it, but that was just made because they knew
studio like checklist.
Exactly, yeah, and it would like appeal to those basic brain things that say this has energy, I must like it, and it's just like, okay, yeah. I just cannot fathom how it is still so played on the radio. Like, at some point, even the most hardcore fans or whatever must get sick of this.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway.
No, the hardcore fans stay stuff like, oh, finally some real music on the radio, as if this band is not one of the pop, whatever. That was a low blow. It's not the worst thing I've heard from this band, especially recently on that last album where there were songs like this that were more annoying. Because at least this one doesn't have horrible chip tuning and pitch shifting and high pitch, chipmunk vocals. We could keep going. You have any final thoughts?
I did like it the first one or two times I heard it, and despite, I mean, the message is a little...
But the message isn't the problem, because the music fits it. Like, it's so histrionic that kind of matches, but it's just the music is so one note.
Yeah. But now I'm done.
Sorry, do you have any final thoughts?
I also liked it at first. Still not quite overplayed for me, but just doesn't do that much for me overall. Like, it was like sugar. Energy
like Chlorine.
Yeah, you know.
No, it's
and
stupid.
then it just kind of ran out. So
all right, going next, a song that, boy, you can tell this got big off a commercial. Trampoline by SHAED, I think.
I don't know.
Trampoline by SHAED. We'll call them SHAED.
What? I just say SHAED. SHAED.
SHAED. Let's call them
SHAED.
that. That's a nice name. SHAED.
Sure.
So like with other songs on here, where I wasn't familiar with the artist, I went and listened to their other stuff. I found I liked quite a big deal of it. Like, there's a song they do called Melt, which reminds me a lot of Banks at her best. There's a song they did called Silver Knife, which has a very like disco late 70s soul flavor to it. So as I was like, this is what I want this band to sound like, because the lead singer, because this band, I was kind of surprised I learned they were a band, is lead singer and two producers behind her. She's got a great, very soulful voice to her, but I don't think it matches this very dark, murky song, and that's why I like their other stuff that was more open, more kind of airy, more kind of glittery, more kind of funky. That's not to say I dislike this song, I just don't think it matches her vocal talents. And the times where and then it throws in these horrible, like, vocoder vocals in the pre-chorus that you probably can't hear unless you have headphones in, but they sound horrible. I was like, this woman deserves so much better than this, because she is doing her best here.
So yeah, it's a bit of a complex thing. It feels just, I know experimental is kind of a general blanket term, but kind of sort of, because it's like music and effects plus lyrics.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like it, but I can't really commit to how much I like it. You're right. She does have a really great voice, and this is the only thing I've heard from them. I need to listen to more.
Listen to other stuff. I enjoyed it.
Definitely. But it's like I want to like it more than I do, sort of thing. I do like her voice a lot, and it just feels kind of like it's a weird application of it.
Oh,
I don't know.
great.
And it
Froze again. All right, keep talking. Whatever.
yeah, it's fine. Keep
At this
the
point.
timer's still going up. So
Yeah, fine.
Anyway, sorry.
Audio alone. I have to agree. I liked this. I thought the overall sound was good. It was smooth. It was a little theatrical in parts, which I thought was fun. It had some whistling going on, which I thought was also kind of fun.
That whistle was nice, yeah.
Yeah, it's certainly interesting because of all the things it throws in.
Overall entertaining. I like the lyrics too, except this one little part where I believe it's right at the start of the chorus. The first line is something to the effect of like, "Wait, if I'm on fire," but just that word "wait" at the beginning.
Yeah, that was odd.
It's so weird to me because it takes it out of the immersion. One, it's like the speaker suddenly becomes reflexive of like suddenly like self-aware, and then off of that,
And she doesn't like sound like panicked enough for it to kind of work.
yeah, one, not panicked, but then also like it breaks my immersion in the song in that it makes me realize like, oh, suddenly the speaker isn't in control of what they're saying. This is like they're responding to something happening to them at the second. I don't know what it was.
I thought you were gonna mention the part where she says, "When I dream I'm dying, I never feel so loved," which is literally exactly the same as "Mad World" by Tears for Fears / that whatever that cover is by. No one cares. In which he says, the dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. Or you could compare it to One Republic's "Counting Stars," which goes, "Everything that kills me makes me feel alive," which obviously doesn't mention the dream. I don't dislike it. I'm glad it turned me on to other stuff by them that I really liked, because I'm normally not into this sort of electro alternative R&B, but what I heard from them I liked.
I would definitely listen to more of their songs. I'm interested.
Listen to Melt and Silver Knife.
Do we actually know what the song is about though? Because I've
dreams, jumping on a trampoline.
Yeah,
I guess just feeling
really
like weightless and feeling like out of control in a dream, but somehow learning to like that. I guess.
Yeah, but I guess it's the chorus, right? It's "Wait, if I'm on fire, how am I so deep in love?
Yeah.
When I dream of dying, I never feel so loved." And you rhymed love with love, and regardless, I'm like, so wait, is this
No, the song's really about those sweet Apple paychecks, because it got used prominently in an Apple commercial.
Wow.
Sorry, that was a low blow. I do generally like this, but
predicting its own outcome. Impressive.
I don't know. It's just I've heard it many times, and I can't think of what it could be about. But
it is weird to see this one so high as well. I don't mind. It reminds me of Banks, and more stuff should remind me of Banks. More of Banks' stuff should remind me of Banks. You have any final thoughts?
Yeah, not really.
Number 3, another song I'm really surprised to see so high here. This is Longshot by Catfish and the Bottlemen. I don't have many thoughts on this song. It's just so meat and potatoes to me.
My note on it is pretty alright overall. So, it felt generic. Right. Chorus was okay. I think I liked the second half of the chorus especially. Music was like this was interesting. Tell me if I'm wrong on this, but it felt to me like the music was a little more on the rock side and the singing was a little more on the indie side. Or like alternative. I don't know if that makes sense.
I'm sorry, that doesn't really.
Yeah.
See, I wish the music was more rock, because I don't know if it's a guitar tone or a keyboard, but there's this weird shimmering over the chorus that really bugged me, because I kept wanting this song to get grimier and it never did. Because this band is one of those like new wave of like garage rock and sort of blues and stoner rock bands where I'm like, you're not Royal Blood, because Royal Blood's got more weight and impact. You're not Highly Suspect, who can be annoying, but they've got more atmosphere and real texture to them. This, to me, is just so, like, it's brash, and there's personality to it, and I do like this guy's singing most part, but it's just so instantly forgettable, and I'm I'm
Yeah.
shocked that this is done so well because I just don't think
Yeah.
there's anything special about it.
I guess I will agree with you with the forgettable. I'm sorry, I had to look up the lyrics to remember how it sounded again. I've heard it a couple times, and I like when I do hear it in the middle of it, I'm like, okay, I kind of like this, and then at the end, I'm kind of like, well, basically what you said, it was okay.
Yeah, I think it's I think it's just okay.
It started like, well, okay, so I went down the list or the Billboard list in order because that makes sense.
Yeah,
and it was number 3, so obviously I got to this early, and yeah, I looked through the list and I kind of had an idea of where a lot of stuff was going to land, but I want to go through it again. And I put this one pretty high. It was like top 5, and by the time I'd gotten through everything, it moved down to 13. So,
that's really funny.
I don't know, because I remembered it was like, okay, yeah, it kind of had a nice sort of a good energy and an interesting sound, and then by the time I got through everything, I was kind of like, it's just a little generic. I don't know. I like the name of the band, but sure is interesting.
Look, there's a reason it's been this long for this. It's been this long this band's gotten a hit.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything else that I can remember.
All right. Number 2, Low/High by the Black Keys. Their big return, first in like 5 years, I want to say, because Dan Auerbach's done a lot of like production work, and they kind of put the band on the back burner after their last album kind of was polarizing. What the hell? Holy crap. Sorry, that's good.
Weird tech issues.
I'm sorry to these two especially. They're homies for sticking with me through all these technical problems. So what do you think about this? You guys can tolerate Black Keys more than I can.
Personally, I'm kind of happy to see Black Keys again because I like what I've heard from them in the past, and this was okay too. I found it kind of fun by the end. I look at it. I don't actually have that many notes on it.
It's another Black Keys song.
It is another Black Keys
song. It doesn't have any, like, you guys remember, like, Fever, where they tried to throw in that, like, psychedelic, like, keyboard in there. They've thrown that out, so it's more of, like, just a straight, old school garage rock, in the ZZ Top or Queens of the Stone Age style.
I will say, I like what they did in the bridge, because the guitar got a little streaky, and it was kind of a fun variation, in my opinion. Another note, though, the mixing in the chorus feels weird to me. Just something's going on that makes it feel blurry. Like, it's a little hard to understand what they're saying, and it kind of blends into the music. Because it feels off there.
Because I'm really shocked that this band hasn't done this before, because they so desperately crave to be seen as soulful. This is, I guess, one of their first songs they throw in these gospel singers, and I am all for that, because this band desperately needs that sort of soul to them. But as you're saying, I can definitely see that, like, this is their first time incorporating that, so the chorus can feel a bit like, what do we do with all this? How do we mix all this? And it does kind of get sort of blurry and just kind of becomes a mash. I do not dislike this song as much as I dislike other Black Keys songs. Right. I do think the groove is not as stodgy. I don't really care for the, like, fuzzy blasts that come in after, like, every measure. Those got irritating. The solo I just found kind of ear grating. But seriously, this hook, you got low like a valley, you got then high like a bird in the sky. Really, that's all you could come up with in the 5 years since that's what you come up with, is that you get low like a valley, then high like a bird in the sky. That's just lame. Like, and this band does not have the swaggering charisma to really sell that in an old school rock and roll way that they so desperately want to be.
It's kind of a little
more gospel singers though. This band desperately needs them, and you should have put them in your music years ago. Sorry, your thoughts?
No, I'm trying to remember how I felt about it. So I actually had not heard this before I went to listen to it for this production here, which is surprising because I do generally like the Black Keys. This one, I don't know. I just kind of felt like I like some of their earlier stuff better. This wasn't bad. I did not dislike it. It just didn't didn't feel anything from it, I guess. I don't know, it was weird, and it felt, no, okay, like I said, I've only listened to it once, but it felt a little, monotone isn't the right word, but kind of constant, if that makes sense. I think I landed, it's like 17 on my list or something. It's not bad, or, that is to say, not, that is bottom of my list, but, not, I didn't, okay, like I said, I liked most of the stuff here, so that doesn't mean that I totally disliked it. It just didn't inspire anything in me. Like some other Black Keys, I like genuinely am like, okay, yeah, I totally dig this. And this was just kind of, eh. There is one weird note that I'm going to make about it, and I cannot fathom why this is or explain anything about what this means, and I don't think this even makes any sense. But when I was listening to it, somehow I was briefly struck with a strong vision of, like, biker bar?
No, there's some of
know.
that.
Yeah.
There's that kind of, like, low rider, old school, like, outlaw rock and roll of a band like ZZ Top, which this band really wants to be.
I'm glad I'm not just insane.
No, you're not. That's totally a vibe they want. It's a better Black Keys song. It didn't annoy me like, again, Howlin' for You or Gold in the Ceiling, which are like the lowest Black Keys for me.
All right, this is we haven't done this too much, but I'm gonna do a direct contrary to you. I don't know. I like a lot of the older Black Keys.
Look, I had two personality traits for years. One was hating Black Keys. The other was hating Muse. So
how are we so friends?
Yeah.
So it was nice
because Muse also got bad if you haven't been invested in their recent stuff either.
Okay, this is true.
I'm not going to disagree. I haven't listened to much of them. I liked their earlier stuff better. I do like, what's it called? Dark Side or something, but that's...
Are you thinking of Pink Floyd? Oh,
No.
Okay, sorry. So, yes, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. I was like, are you talking about the Pink Floyd song?
No, I think that's what it's called.
No, it's called Dark Side. I know what you're talking about. It's like the first or second song on their new album.
I haven't listened to the new album. I've only heard like a couple of songs from them recently.
Okay, getting off track. This is like an hour and 30 minutes.
That's true. Not even on the list. Let's go.
Talking about number one, I'm glad this is here. This artist who is just fucking everywhere out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Every girl online is quoting her. Every douchebag online is talking about how much they don't care about her. This is Bury a Friend by Billie Eilish. To me, this is clearly number one. I don't think anything else comes close to this song.
I would agree with you.
This is not I reviewed her new album, which this song actually, the title of it comes from this song. This is not my favorite song from it, but I'm not surprised that this song is doing as well on the chart, because this is an alarmingly low-key catchy song. Like, you would not think that this thing would get burrowed in your head the way it does. Like, that's the thing with her, and because it's her and her brother working together. Phineas Connor, I think is the guy's name. Is that for as much effects as they use for all this sort of vocal effects and the very industrial production they use, they know how to write a hook that really sticks with you, especially on this song where that hook just burrows into your head and you will find yourself just humming it for days afterwards, and you won't mind it.
Yeah. You go.
Yeah, I love this song as well. It's so interesting. It's like theatrical in a way that doesn't look theatrical. There's kind of a lot going on, and I feel like there's a lot of elements that in different hands would be terribly done.
Absolutely.
But somehow this is woven together into something real good, in my opinion. The production, in my opinion, is very good. Between vocal effects, music, sound effects, there's like the breaking glass sound.
The breaking glass sound effect, yeah.
Even like the deep kind of gravelly like male voice.
The pitch shifting, yeah.
Which I think is used just enough to keep it mysterious and creepy and strange
definitely
and good.
And that's what I really like about her, is that there was just this intensity to it that even though the song's not very loud, it just lingers with you while still being just ungodly catchy.
Yeah, the singing is, I don't want to say monotone, but in
Low
some places,
key, I think it's a better word.
Key. It doesn't necessarily feel like a lot's going on, but there's sort of a constant sense of like something underneath the surface that's just about to explode, but it never does, and it like keeps you waiting, keeps you interested.
Full of, it's weird to say, but like full of like potential energy. Like there's a lot under there, but it's just barely constrained. It's
also,
go.
just one more thing that I think was very good in it. Excellent use of Seishura. Like it pauses at some points, and like the music and the scene cuts out.
Yeah.
And there's just a brief moment of nothing.
That part where it like cuts down, and she goes like, I want to end me, like slowly building up in volume is just haunting.
It's almost like punctuation. It's
very punctual. Yeah,
I think it like adds. I think it adds to the song. It just makes it all work together. It's cohesive.
It's a beautifully weird thing. I really love it. The first time I heard it on the radio, I was amazed it was actually something that they play on the radio because it is so different from everything else. And I'm really glad they do. And okay, so you're right. I think you said it was kind of, we have a lot from her that's kind of suddenly come out of nowhere, which is interesting. And so I haven't heard the whole album. I've heard a couple of different ones. So I know on the radio right now, I've heard at least Party's Over, Bad Guy, and Boyfriend. And they have the same like distinct, like you can immediately tell it's Billie Eilish because of her voice and kind of the way they're executed, but they're all very different too. I'm really glad that Bury a Friend is kind of risen to the top. The others aren't bad, but it's kind of like, I don't know, Bad Guy's like good, but
Bad Guy's like her most like radio friendly song.
Yeah, exactly.
And
it's like different, but edges closer to the more standard pop sort of thing.
Trap, especially with that ending.
Yeah, exactly. And but Bury a Friend is like kind of feels like new territory, at least to anything recent. And it does go out of its way to be unusual, and the fact that it like uses those like, I don't know how to describe it, almost like extra music things,
like bells and whistles.
Yeah, like the sound effects or the
pitch shifting.
Exactly, the tiny vocal samples that are just like suddenly something, and then like the screech sound, and it goes into music. It's so. It would almost be unsettling if it wasn't so cool.
Yeah,
it just
and it wasn't just
really
so catchy.
Yeah,
like look, dislike her all you want. Don't tell me don't let me tell you otherwise. But if you're really put off by her image and by especially the music video for this song, I think kind of tries too hard, but. I think that she and her brother do bring a level of craftsmanship and a real attention to detail that would not be obvious at first. And I think that they can, and if they can still, because obviously this is their first studio album, it's obviously doing really well, but I really hope that they continue to, because y'all know like XXXTentacion, right? Yeah. And like to me, this is kind of a spiritual successor to that sort of thing. And with him dying, I'm like, do you want the next XXXTentacion to be her or Juice WRLD? If you have to think about that for any length of time, you're just delusional, because I would rather have her over Juice WRLD any day. So, more stuff like this, please. Number one on my best by a mile.
I guess there's the possible fear, and this doesn't say anything about this music specifically, but that it's like, since you have done something so like extreme starting out,
where do you go from here?
Exactly, and it would almost be a shame to see them get into more like general pop or something. But like, I'm gonna say I have confidence in that because they have done so well, and I think you're right with the word craftsmanship and just the level of detail, I guess, that they put into their work to make it something really interesting. I'm sure they'll continue to make good stuff. So I'm just really glad that it has taken off.
I'm glad it went. Because before this, it was like Low High was number one, Chlorine was number one, and Ready to Go was number one. Ready to Let Go is number one. Not Ready to Go. That's a different song. It's a much different sentiment. Yeah, I really dig it. This list as a whole was not bad, but there were so many songs where, even on like my high ranked and my low ranked, where I was like, there's parts of this that are good. So it wasn't like there was only like one real outright like 9 and one real out like 1 on my list. A lot of them were in like a 5 to 6 range. Where I was like, I wish I liked this more. I wish I disliked this more because at least I could be more consistent with my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I'd agree. I had like 5 or 6 that I was like, okay, well, I know these are just going to be my top list. And then the rest of them were like, you know, I like them or I don't dislike them. I just don't know what to do with the rest of them. So, but yeah, pretty good list overall.
I'd say, at least, I'd say it was an interesting list. Even the bad stuff was kind of fascinatingly bad.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. Thanks for listening or watching all the way through if you've managed to do that. Mumford and Sons, get consistent. Of Monsters and Men, keep up the good work. Billie Eilish, keep up the good work. Lovely the Band, what the hell? I didn't know you had in ya. And Oliver Tree, please do not become the next big thing, I swear to God. Thanks for everything.